Hey everybody, I hope you're doing as well as you can in times like these. So this is just this little update video for the rest of the semester. I'm going to go over briefly what we're doing over the next few weeks and expectations for the final portfolio, and also just a little heads up on other smaller stuff. Hope you enjoyed Bluets. I haven't graded all of the discussion posts yet, but I've read them, and I saw a lot of good discussion about what makes a poem? Is blue its poetry? What do we value in poetry and in writing in general? That sort of thing. So that looked like really good discussion, and I hope it was helpful for y'all. I think that's really the value of a work like Blue. It's well written and really interesting, but it also sort of forces us to, forces us to reconsider genre boundaries, which is pretty much always a fruitful conversation to have. In terms of grading overall, the vocabulary test was a bit ago. That should be done this week. Working at Kitchen wasn't grading. There was a lot of departmental deadlines that I had to meet. But those are past now, so now I can really focus on grading and catching up. So sorry there was a bit of a backlog there, but everything's crazy, so oh well. Um, also, I did forget to post the answer key for the scansion exercise. That's at the bottom of the last page, which is just what I'm calling the Canvas page for the next couple weeks. So speaking of the next couple weeks, what we're doing this week, the week of the 27th, is going to be workshop week. We're going to be going back to folio number 2, that exact same assignment, to complete peer reviews. Basically, you're just going to be downloading your peers' work and attaching comments to it. So, there's a video below this video, actually, that shows you more how to do that in detail and my expectations for that, because I realized this might be something not everyone has done before and stuff like that. So there's a video where I walk you through step by step what makes a good annotation, how many you should have, how long should the big letter be, that sort of thing. So that's right below this one. And that's what we're doing this week, the week of the 27th, as we're just doing that. So you just have your two letters. You have your two letters and the annotations to do, and that's it for this week. The week after that, the actual last week of the semester proper, we don't have anything specifically planned for that besides optional conferences. They are optional, but if you have any questions about the final portfolio after reading the assignment sheet or just about revision in general or the critical introduction, I suggest you sign up. I have half hour slots open from 9 to 3, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Uh, the week of May 5th, I think. Let me check. Um, the week of May 4th, actually, my bad. So yeah, that week there's a lot of availability if you just want to stop in, if you like, maybe you want some suggestions to get started in the final portfolio. Maybe you want to pop in at the end of the week after you've assembled it and you just want me to give it a look over to make sure it's okay. But that's basically what that time is. Also, for finals week itself, I'll also be available for conferences. I'm not sure I'll put up a sign up sheet for that, but it'll just be a different one that I'll put up during finals week. Um, and so I guess let's go over the final portfolio then. First things first, it's due midnight on May 13th, Wednesday on finals week. It consists of two parts. I've changed it a little bit from what it was in the syllabus because since the library is closed, you don't have access to the stacks where you could go and get biographies. I find a lot of the articles on EBSCOhost and stuff like that aren't necessarily what was really helpful for the sort of assignment that it was. So I've just changed it so that it's less of a critical component. But so basically, it consists of two parts. There's going to be a critical introduction of 1,000 words, and then a portfolio of 5 revised poems. That's basically it. So the critical introduction, it's very freeform. It's an open-ended reflection on poetry, anything you read in this class that's affected your writing, how your writings change over the course of the semester, eureka moments you've had, moments of, I guess, despair that you've had. I don't know. I hope you didn't have too many despairing moments about poetry in this class. But it's just kind of just an open-ended reflection on what you value in poetry, uh, things that have happened in this class. It's very free form. As long as it's tangentially related to poetry, as long as you can relate it back to poetry, it's pretty much fair game. As long as you just exhibit as long as you sort of look back at your progress as a poet. That's essentially the only goal that there is to this. You know, Michel de Montaigne was like kind of the creator of the essay, like the Western essay as we know it. He was basically this French nobleman who gave up his like title, who gave up his nobility, just so that he could like read books and like kind of just dig around for the rest of his life. Which I mean, honestly, seems like a sweet deal, especially if you're in France. Their novels have they sometimes have troubles with their novels. And so the essay was just sort of like his meandering thoughts as he'd just go on a walk and talk about what he'd go on a long walk, think about stuff, come back and just write for a while. It would just be whatever what was on his mind during the walk. There was a lot of natural observations. There was a lot of stuff about people he was interested in, affairs of state. But it was really just this blend of like casual insight and autobiography. Um, and that's essentially just that's not necessarily exactly what I'm looking for, but the point I'm trying to make is that he called these like meandering, pointless but beautiful writings essays, because the word essay, the original meaning is just an attempt to try, and that's really what these critical introductions are. I guess the term critical introduction can be a little scary, but just make an attempt to talk about poetry, and that'll pretty much be good. That is 1,000 words, so that's about 4 pages double spaced. Um, it's more than it was. It was less, but since I got rid of the actual part that includes research, it seemed like an easier way to make up the state requirements for how much writing you have to do about poetry. And it seemed a lot. I didn't want you to have to like scab around on a dozen weird .com poet biography websites with inaccurate information, so this seems better. Um, Also, in the critical introduction, talk about authors you've liked, we've read, any books you've read, anything you liked in class that we liked. Suggestions are on the page. I don't want to belabor that point too long. So the second part of the final portfolio, and I guess I'll just talk about the whole structure real quick. It should just be one long Word document, MLA style, so just a heading at the top, page numbers. The critical introduction comes first, and then you're going to have the portfolio of your poems. And once you actually get into the second section of the portfolio with your poems, the way you'll sort of order it is you'll have the unrevised version of the poem on its own page, then the revised poem on the page after the unrevised version, and then on the page after that, you'll just have a brief paragraph of about 100 words explaining why you made the revisions you did, how happy you are with it, how close you think it is to being finished, what else you might do with it, just that sort of thing, just talking about the process of revision and how you felt about that. And then you'll just repeat that until you do get all 5 poems. You want to revise and edit the poems, kind of just as it says on the sheet. So we are looking for radical revisions here. It's not really good to just change a few words and then call that a revision, because that's really just a small edit. Completely reorder it, change the form, take a few lines that were strongest from the first draft and write around that, or just delete it all and try to write it again from memory, and the best bits usually float up from that. Think back to the one art exercise that we did about revision and that sort of thing. So you want to revise it, you want to change it drastically, and then you want to go through and edit it. Just take in metaphors and images, check for typos, that sort of thing, Best words, best order. And so you'll just want to do that for each poem down the line. Yeah, and then I talked about the justifications, and that's the portfolio. So it'll just be one big long document, like it'll probably be like 20 pages total, but there's going to be a lot of white space with the poems. Most of the writing will just be the critical introduction, which is just an open-ended reflection on poetry, like I said. So I don't think the final portfolio should really be too bad. Again, do Wednesday finals week at midnight, May 13th. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me or sign up for a conference during the last week of class. So, alright, I think that's all I have for the little kind of wrap up and overview. Below this will be the video sort of going more in depth about workshop. So yeah, I really hope y'all are doing well. Taking quarantine and self-isolation pretty good. Um, at the time of recording, there hasn't been like, if we don't really know if the stay-at-home order is going to be extended or stuff like that. At least in Ohio, on how you know how much things are actually going to open back up and that sort of thing. Schools, public schools, are still closed throughout the rest of the year, so that's pretty big. But yeah, oh well. Oh, I'll go get Jasper. I'll be right back. I can hear him destroying something in the other room. Yes, here's the little guy. He's doing good. So vicious, so sudden. Why do you always get bitey when I turn the camera on? He's doing good. He got worms, but they got rid of him pretty quick, so that's good. The worm medicine does make him take some really noxious poops, though, so I'll be glad when that's done. Aw, are you embarrassed I'm talking about your noxious poops, baby boy? Hmm? Alright. Alright. Bye, everyone. Say bye, Jasper. Or say sharp. Say bye. Alright, bye, everyone. I hope you're doing well.